And we will start. Hi, and welcome to Safe4Life Personal Safety Training Podcast, Everyday Self-Defense. My name is Lorna Seelig, and my company is Safe4Life Personal Safety Training. I'm here today with the lovely Bonnie Earl. She is absolutely amazing, somebody that I've come to know in the last several months. And Bonnie, I have to say, I love your energy. I love your message for women and young women about stepping into and embracing their personal power and being confident and knowing that they have the influence and the control in their life, that they really can make a difference and stand out. And so, Bonnie, can you give us a little bit of information about you and what you do and how you send your message out to the world?
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Lorna. And so for me, yeah, it's like, it's kind of sometimes out of the mess is where we find our passion and our purpose. And so for much of my life, it was like I had these two lives. I had this professional life where I was very together and it appeared that I was really together. But in my personal life, sometimes it was that I gave away my power in my personal life. And then it was after a major life event, the death of my husband to ALS, that it was, you know what, I really want to work with women, and I really want to help women rediscover their power and to let go of the insecurities, let go of the fears about being judged by other people, and simply to live that life that each of us knows we are born to live. And so I offer 5-week classes, and in those classes it's about teaching women how to be in their bodies. I do personal coaching, personal power coaching, and then I do a year-long mastermind. Awesome. And in that year-long mastermind, it's about rediscovering your true identity and what your real power is in the world.
I love that, Bonnie. That's awesome. You've got a really great program, and I think I've spoken to some of the women that are involved in your program, and they just and you can see the light in them and the fullness in them. So kudos to you. That's amazing. Now, Bonnie, we've had a couple of conversations about some of the similarities in the work that we do. And my work, as you know, is in and around empowering women and children and teens, often females, although males do find themselves as well in situations where they're, victimized and assaulted. But talking about women here today, women and girls, we need to have some mechanism to get information to them that helps them to realize that they are powerful and they are worthy and they are precious and important beings. And when they do realize those kinds of qualities, I think they can have a better sense, first of all, of themselves. But from my perspective, they can go forward in their life and in their world knowing that they have the right to be protected, that they have the right to be safe, and that they have the right to have all that they desire, all the while having safe hearts and safe bodies. And so in that, Bonnie, do you have some ways that you practice awareness and alertness and just personal protection in your day-to-day life?
Yes, absolutely. And so everything that you're saying is so in alignment with who I be in the world as well, Lorna. Like, we have so many similarities. And so for me, one of the foundational practices is starting with gratitude. I start each morning with an attitude of gratitude for everything that I have. And then the second thing is to actually be in my body. everywhere I go, I see people on their cell phones, and they're rushing, rushing, rushing. And when they're doing that, they're not present to themselves. So my first practice is called a tune-in. And so each morning it's bringing my attention out of my head to about 3 inches below my navel. Martial artists call it the dantian, and the dantian is the power center. And so I focus on my power center inside my body. That grounds me, and it increases my confidence and my presence.
I love
And
that.
then the second thing that I do is I imagine that I am in a light globe. And the light globe has a defined outer rim all the way around it. And so when I am in that light globe space, I feel protected. And it's really interesting that I've experimented with this. And when I was in Mexico, you know how often on the busy streets you have vendors coming up to you, offering their wares. And as I walked in a busy street in Mexico and had my light globe on, people would approach, and then it was like they would just go off to the side.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful practice. And then in that light globe, I can have my heart open and go through the world with an open heart.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Light globe. I love that term.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So my next question is about having a safety plan. And it sounds like part of your safety plan is to have your light globe.
Yes.
So that you are less, and I think what you're talking about, and our message is the same, but I think our words are different. So I call it a practice to be seen as less of a victim. Right?
Absolutely.
And
yes.
Because when you have your light globe, you are Teflon.
Yes.
Right? You don't absorb the negativity. You don't absorb that perspective that others might have, that you could be an easy target.
Right.
That's brilliant. That's
yes.
brilliant.
It changes my presence. I show up with a greater presence, and then it's that people don't mess with that energy.
Awesome.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could give that message right there of the light globe, of the Teflon, image to young people, I see oftentimes in middle schools and even in grade schools when you have a group of kids that it's the gang mentality where there's sort of one or two kids that tend to be the target. I try to teach that piece around shifting your energy to one of what we call it when we teach young kids. We actually call it walk around like a police officer.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Shoulders back. You are deflecting and sort of emanating, power and I don't mean power in a one down sort of way, but power in a self-confidence and a embracing your own brilliance kind of way.
Exactly.
So that you have so people look at you in a different light.
Yes.
And when you're walking around with your light globe, people see you differently. They see you as strong and on purpose and driven and in control. They don't see you as a victim. And I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. And sometimes it will be that I will get head turns. And,
cool.
And it will be, in the mall, and I'll get this head turn. And it's
notice you.
People can feel and they notice you.
Yeah.
But in a positive way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bonnie, has there ever been a time, maybe perhaps before you learned about your light globe and sort of emanating that radiance and power, female power, has there been a time when you may have had a situation, a risky situation, a dangerous situation, before you knew what you know now?
Yeah, I think there certainly were times in the workplace before I learned this work where there were challenging people, and yes, I would go sort of to a defensive mode,
mm-hmm.
and not always, didn't always feel good about how I handled it.
Right.
And yeah, I wish that I'd had these practices sooner. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And interestingly, though, a couple of years ago, I had an experience where I was with a group of women at nighttime, and usually we would walk out as a group. And that particular night, I thought, oh well, I want to get home. It'll be fine. By myself, I'm good. And so I'm walking into this underground parkade. Fortunately, I have my key fob in my hand, and this guy steps out from behind one of the pillars, like almost in front of me, and it was like, and then I glanced at him quickly and then hit the key fob. And
Nice.
as I did that, my car started making its alarm noise, and I, rushed to my car, got in, locked the door, and it was like, oh, phew.
But the interesting thing about that is your quick response.
Yes.
First of all, of hitting the alarm. What did that rush feel like for you when you noticed that he was there? What was that intuitive?
It was like danger, danger. And yeah, just that automatic reflex of like, there was no thinking about it. It was just automatic reflex. Yeah. And then when I got back into the car, it was like, oh my God.
And you feel like jelly, right? That's
my legs shook, my whole body shook. When I got home, my whole body was shaking.
Yes, and your arms, well, and I remember being in different situations. The thing that I remember the most was it felt like my arms were just not attached, and even my legs, I just almost like, wow, who's walking my legs for me,
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that adrenaline is it's a crazy chemical that surges through your system.
Yeah,
that's a neat story about the parkade. It's interesting. A few years back, I had a similar situation where I was walking in an underground parkade, and I was actually approached by, there was 3 or 4 sort of teenager-ish kind of guys, and they're, boys from the hood, and started walking towards me. And one of the strategies that we teach is this piece around make eye contact, let them know that you see them, right? And my first response, having taught this for years, my first response was, oh my God, right? But then I went, hey, own this, right? Shoulders back, chin up. I looked at every single one of them, walked, I sort of moved off to the side so I wasn't kind of walking right into them. But I kept walking, and they just sort of looked at me, kind of glanced around, and sort of slunk off down the other way. But I had this incredible sense of, I've got this, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a huge, just a real empowering feeling.
It sure is, yes.
Bonnie, I want you to talk about the yoni.
Oh,
please. I love it.
For sure. And actually, it's so interesting that it's a part of a woman's personal power as well.
Yes.
And so yoni is a Sanskrit word for vagina. Mm-hmm. And when a woman is in her body, in her power center, she's got her heart open, and she feels the energy in her hips. And then she squeezes the yoni muscles. There's like this surge of female power, this female energy that comes into a woman's body, and she becomes radiant, she becomes magnetic, she becomes powerful. And it was so interesting, actually. I had asked our mutual friend, Bridget, if she would demonstrate that at the Wonder of You retreat. And when she went into her feminine, and when we demonstrated the yoni squeeze, there was actually a gasp from the audience. The women went, because you could feel the shift in the energy. And rather than the masculine energy, it was the feminine energy, which is more subtle and yet equally powerful.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And it oh my goodness, and it just, as a woman, it just feels good.
That's awesome. I love that, Bonnie. That's great. Bonnie, you're a treat. You really are. I love what you say. I love what you do. I just love being, sort of beside you and in your presence. I just really feel that it's a gift, having known you and been able to do some work and honestly have some fun. I mean, we had a great time at a conference here a couple of weeks ago, or I guess it was a couple of months ago. And now in another month
Yes.
or so, we're going to be back at it. So that'll be very exciting.
Yes.
I got one last question for you.
Yes.
I want you to fill in the blank. If everyone did blank, the world would be a safer place.
The word that comes to mind is kind and respectful.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. Absolutely. Bonnie, how can people reach you? Where can they find you? Do you have any gifts for our listeners and our viewers?
Yeah. My website is Bonnie-Earl, EARL.com. And on my website, there is a contact form, and women can contact me for a free power hour.
Love that.
And in that power hour, it is, what is your most important goal that you want to accomplish this year? What do you think the biggest roadblock is? And if that roadblock wasn't there, you could have everything you wanted to be, do, or have.
Oh, that's perfect. That's so great, Bonnie. So great. Thank you so much. Again, you're just a delight. I look forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks. We're going to have a little get together, and this has been great. Thanks so much, Bonnie.
It has, and thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Okay. Yeah, bye for now.